Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison tonight. How we doing, buddy?
Good. How we doing, Nick?
Not too bad. Had a pretty good Christmas, low key. How was
Yep.
yours?
Same thing. Low key stayed here. Kids were all crazy and wild and loving it. That's actually why I'm a few minutes late tonight. They're still working off that Christmas hangover. So
Yeah,
it's all good, though. Good times.
yeah, absolutely. All right, so kind of a slow week. We'll get into it, but make sure first that you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, so leading off, Yamamoto signs with who else? The Dodgers. He signs for 12 years, $325 million. The opt-outs are after year 6 and after year 8, which was kind of weird to me. Which, whatever. But the back end of his contract is loaded.
Yeah.
So if he opted out in year 6 and year 8, he's losing out on the bigger chunk of his contract if he opts out. So it's again, I hate to say this, a smart move by the Dodgers, kind of having an insurance policy there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he doesn't work out and he opt out, like, we're not on the hook for that money.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting because the Dodgers chose not to go the road of deferrals because they've already, and even they admitted to, we've got a lot of deferred money already. We can't defer a contract. We can't defer every contract forever. So, but instead, so they backloaded this one. So if an opt out happens, they save a much larger portion of the contract than they would otherwise. So again, I feel like the Dodgers are proving that we're a big market team. We're not afraid to spend, but we're also playing a slightly different game than everybody else. And we're structuring contracts in a way to get us the outcome that we want and even potentially hedge a little risk for us. So really, what they're doing, it makes me insane what they're doing. But it's really smart. Like, it's really smart. They're playing by almost different rules in LA. And it's working. It's working great. I mean, here they are. They've invested $1 billion between Yamamoto and Ohtani. Then you throw in Glass now, and you've invested over $1.2 billion this offseason, and they say they're not done. The beauty of it is it's all structured in a way where that $1.2 billion isn't really going to have to be $1.2 billion. So it's been fascinating to watch them work because they're playing a way different game out there.
It is nuts. I mean, we've sat here and said that it's not good for baseball and all of that stuff because small market teams, could they structure contracts like that? Sure, but not to that magnitude.
No, you got to pay it.
Right. Well, that's the thing, because if this doesn't end up working out for the Dodgers, they're not going bankrupt. If the Kansas City Royals does the same exact thing, they sign Ohtani, they trade for Glass now and extend him, they sign Yamamoto, you have Betts and Freeman on the books. If they're all in Kansas City right now with the same exact contract structure and it doesn't work out, Kansas City Royals are off the map. They're done. The Dodgers financially could recover if it doesn't work out. That's the difference between the LA, the big market teams, or New York or Boston and all that stuff. These small market teams, sure, people are like, oh, they can be smart, they could structure their contract. No, they can't. They can't.
Right.
Because it's a much, much bigger gamble for them. Yeah. Could they? Sure, they could. But if they gamble and lose, they're out. They're done.
Yeah, and I think what the Dodgers have done has been really smart. They've been mixing deferred money, backloaded contracts. They're going to give Yamamoto $50 million up front. Right. So Yamamoto gets paid basically. This contract is a bookend. He gets $50 million up front, and he has a lot of it out in the last 3 or 4 years of it. In between, he's actually a very affordable pitcher, given what you're going to get, or given what you would expect to pay for him.
Right.
But at the same time, that doesn't mean that the Cleveland Guardians are going to drop $325 million on a guy because they can get creative with the contract. You still have to have the money to sign those contracts. And the Dodgers are proving, and the Padres are proving it too. The Padres went for broke the last 2 years. They signed a bunch of big contracts. Where did they get them? They are literally taking on loans to continue to operate.
Yeah.
Because they've completely completely overshot the runway. The Dodgers, if they burn $300 million over the next 5 or 6 years on bad contracts, like you said, Nick, okay, like that ownership group is loaded. And if they burn that in a big market, you can make $300 million back in a season or two. You're not going to $300 million back in Cleveland or Kansas City or Tampa Bay, or you just can't. And that's, again, the intent of the competitive balance tax was to try to level the playing field. Same thing with revenue sharing. Revenue sharing was taking some of that big market, some of that shared revenue, and spreading it other places so the big markets didn't totally dominate. But when you look at it, when you look at stadium deals, sponsorships, TV rights, media market size, you just can't change that LA is one of the top 5 markets in the whole country.
Right.
You can't change that New York is one, that Boston is one. You can't make Tampa Bay a bigger market. You can't make San Diego a bigger market. They are limited by what they can draw.
Yeah.
And yes, San Diego, it's $1 million for a shoebox condo and the weather's great. And there's a shitload of people that live there. But it's not even a portion of New York, Boston, and LA. Like, it's just not. It's not even close.
No.
Completely different markets that have much, much different economics. And LA can flex their muscles and they can take big risks that nobody else can.
Right. I mean, look at what Cohen did. Cohen went out and spent, everything. Not everything he had because he's loaded, but he went for broke. But financially, he's fine. Right. Even though it didn't work out, he's like, all right, we'll tear it down and try it again. The Dodgers could do that if it doesn't work out. And like I said, like the Guardians, the Royals, those small market teams won't be able to recover from that. The point you made about the Rockies owner being worth $700 million. Like, you're telling me the Colorado Rockies wouldn't just fold and be like, sorry, like, we're done.
If they don't fill that stadium every night, sign a bigger TV contract and win the World Series every year, there's no way for that guy to make that money back. And that contract is so big, it would bankrupt him and the organization if they didn't perform.
Right.
The Dodgers, I mean, Mark Walter, the primary owner of the Dodgers, is worth almost $3 billion by himself.
Yeah.
By himself.
Right.
And he's got other owners with him.
Yeah.
Like, it is not the same thing. And, Doug makes another point about San Diego. It's not a big baseball city. No, you're right. It's not, but it's also population-wise, the San Diego metro is very small relative to Los Angeles, New York, and Boston. But because a big part of what drives this is TV deals. TV deals are based on how many eyeballs can watch. And that's why did the San Diego Padres lose their TV deal last year? Because it wasn't worth anything to Bally Sports. They looked at it and said, we don't want it.
Right.
This TV deal isn't worth anything to us because the market's so small.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't kill their contract with some of the teams in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Which are getting better ratings than San Diego.
Yeah. But you made like such a great point about San Diego having to take out loans to recover for what they did. The Dodgers will never have to do that. They'll be like, hey, Magic, do you got a couple $1 million to throw at this team? Because we just need it right now. He's like, yeah, here.
Yeah, like, what do you need?
Yeah. Like, that's what's not good about baseball, I don't think. Because it's like, yes, this is in the rules, but I feel like they're still kind of stretching it and finding a way around it, right? Like, yes, there's no it doesn't prohibit in the CBA or anything like that to defer money, all that stuff, but they put in this luxury tax threshold for a reason, right? And the Dodgers are still trying to find a way around it. Like, steroids was legal when those guys were going through, but they found a way around it. And then when they came out and said steroids are illegal, then they stopped. You know what I mean? Like people and organizations and players are always going to find a way to try to get the edge on their competition. And the Dodgers just have thick wallets, and that's where they're going to go with it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, when you have that level of revenue and that level of capital and net worth and wealth behind the team, you can just do different things.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't have to, when you're Kansas City signing Seth Lugo to a 3-year, $45 million contract, like, you really have to make sure that works, because you don't have the ability to miss by 10, 20, 30, 40 million bucks and be okay. The Dodgers, I mean, if that team ever didn't make money, the ownership group would just be like, okay, like, we'll just strike a check and fill the account and we'll be fine.
Right.
It's not the same. And when you've got that level of wealth behind it, and Cohen proved it last year, I don't care what it costs. Just go. He paid over, and we'll get to this later, but He paid over $100 million in luxury tax this year.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't go to anything. That was just a check he wrote to the league, like, hey, I broke the rules. Here you go.
Yeah, right.
Like that was larger than the payroll of like 7 teams on opening day.
Yeah, and that's what the Dodgers will do if this doesn't. Yeah. If that's what the Dodgers will do if this doesn't work out, it's not going to hurt them financially. They're gonna recover. The Royals will go bankrupt. The Guardians bankrupt. Rockies bankrupt. Done. Fold them. That's it. But
That's it.
Whatever. All right, let's turn back to Yamamoto a little bit because the Yankees were in on Yamamoto till the last minute, and then apparently, reportedly, the Yankees backed off because Yamamoto's contract would have been more than Garrett Cole's, your reigning Cy Young Award winner.
Yep.
Does that make sense for the Yankees to do that? What's your feelings on that?
Well, I mean, I think it does. I mean, I think you and I said it before we went on. Brian Cashman has completely redeemed himself this offseason in my mind.
Yep. He
stopped playing fantasy baseball. He's going and getting guys that make sense. So, box number 1 checked. Like, awesome. But number 2 is, yes, I have a really hard time giving a guy who's never thrown a major league pitch, who's never faced major league batters. The WBC doesn't count. He faced a smattering of major league batters. He has not faced a full major league lineup in his life. He's faced a few MLB guys here and there. Right. The guy's stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if I'm the Yankees, and the Yankees really had 3 concerns with him. One was, we can't pay more than Garrett Cole. He is the reigning Cy Young Award winner, and you've never thrown a pitch on Major League Baseball. Strike 1. Strike 2 is, you've never pitched against Major League Baseball talent yet, and your numbers in Japan are great, but like, we haven't seen you in any extended time against real major league hitters. And even in the WBC, you didn't face guys that were like headliners.
Right. You
faced a few good guys. And then strike 3 is, you are 5'10". Most of the guys at that size, like Pedro Martinez, they don't last. They just kind of fade away because he's not built that. Most of your guys that throw in high 90s are built like Clemens was. They are big, thick, strong guys. They're not, Pedro Martinez was an anomaly. Curt Schilling was a big, strong guy.
Yep.
Clemens, big, strong guy. Randy Johnson was different. He was just super long and lanky.
He was 6'11".
Right. Most of your guys that throw really hard are big guys. He's 5'10" and like 14 pounds and soaking wet. He's a very small guy. And that frame, there's a lot of concerns around baseball that frame won't hold up because Pedro didn't. Pedro was gone in his mid-30s or in his early to mid-30s. He just kind of flamed out. Yeah. And that happens. That happens with that size. So I think the Yankees are smart to walk away. I think the Red Sox are smart to bow out. I think the other teams are smart to say, look, this has gotten crazy. What you're asking for is ludicrous. We're just not going to do it. And in the end, yeah, he got his money. And for him, it was, he wanted New York, but he really wanted to play with Ohtani. So he had 2 good choices. The Dodgers coughed up the cash and off he went. But I give the Yankees credit for holding their ground. Again, the Dodgers pick up another one, but is this a contract you're going to look back in 3 or 4 years and be like, man, like they really got a good deal? Or is this a guy who's struggling to adjust or has issues with, fatigue? How many times did Shohei Ohtani sit the last few seasons with fatigue?
Mm-hmm.
We consistently see these Japanese guys, they come over, they deal with fatigue, they deal with arm issues. Every one of these guys comes over and gets Tommy John surgery within 18 to 24 months because they get completely overused overseas. So, like, I look at it as there's a lot of risk there, a lot of upside, but when you look back in 5 years, are you going to get what you thought you got? I don't think you're going to, based on history. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I think here too, like you said before, like the brand of baseball here is just totally different.
Yeah.
In Japan, you're pitching to contact. Yes, you do have guys that have high strikeout numbers, sure, but they pitch completely different there. Yep. Right? Here, 1 through 9, you're facing guys that will take you 450 feet if you're pitching a contact. They will take you oppo, out of the park. No problem. So you're right. Their arms wear down. They have to throw harder to these guys. They have more pitches because they have to make better pitches. They have to execute pitches, and they have arm problems. And you're right. They throw a ton before they get over here.
They do.
And then they have arm problems. But
you can't just lay a fastball in to a number 7 hitter in Major League Baseball.
No.
In Japan, yeah, you can just, basically after batter 4 in the lineup, you can just throw strikes. And you're not going to get hurt by the guy hitting 6th or 7th.
No.
But in Major League Baseball, the guys hitting 6th or 7th are sometimes pretty good hitters. Like, look at the Rangers lineup.
Yeah.
In some cases, you had guys like Jonah Heim hitting 6th or 7th. Like, that guy will lose a ball in the upper deck on you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just throw him a meatball.
Nope. So this might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know, but I feel at this moment the Yankees have won the offseason. With all the stuff that the Dodgers have done and signing Ohtani and all of this, I say the Yankees have won the offseason simply because I think they are going to have the biggest turnaround. They are going to be at the top of the AL East just by adding Soto and Verdugo. You add those huge contact guys in there, and if somehow DJ LeMahieu can stay on the field and produce, they're going to be very, very good. Their outfield is unreal right now. I mean, I think right now the Yankees have made the best moves for their team and their organization, and non-moves for their team and their organization. As much as Yamamoto would have been a fantastic number 2 to back up Garrett Cole and to give them a legit 1-2 punch, I think they were very smart because now they're in the running for Blake Snell if they wanted to. Jordan Montgomery's still back out there. There's still some good arms out there to be had, and the Yankees have put themselves in the driver's seat.
And you can go get 2 of those guys for the cost of Yamamoto.
Yeah, it pains me to say that as a lifelong Red Sox fan, but I really feel that they have made smart decisions this offseason.
I look at it 2 ways. Before I do that, Doug mentioned something interesting here. So Doug was mentioning one thing I forgot to mention when I talked about my Japan baseball experience was that the entire pitching staff throws in the bullpen during games. They don't take any days off, which is true. And that was one of the things when Daisuke came over and had his own injury issues with the Red Sox that they pointed to, is that these guys, when they get over, they've thrown so many more pitches than their American counterparts. We laugh about how much American pitchers get overused in college and minor league baseball and coming up. It's nothing compared to Japan. These guys pitch oftentimes in 4-man rotations. So they're pitching, 20% more often. They're pitching every day between games. They're pitching more innings. It's a thing of pride. Like, you don't come out before the 7th or 8th inning. Like, you just don't. This is not like Blake Snell getting pulled after 5 1/3 and getting a pat on the back. In Japan, it's a pride thing. Like, it's shame to you if you come out of the game before you have, you've gotten to like the 7th inning.
Yeah.
So these guys will go out there and throw 125 pitches to get through the 7th inning because it's a sense of pride to do that and help their bullpen. But the number of pitches these guys have thrown when they get over here is astronomical and significantly higher than what we see in America. Although we say that the guys here are overworked, nothing compared to over there.
No.
But anyways, what you're saying about the Yankees, I agree with you. I look at the offseason in 2 ways. I think the Yankees have won the offseason so far because they've made the moves that I think project them now back to being a true contender in the American League.
Yep.
I view the Kansas City Royals as the most improved team of the offseason because I think they went from a basement dweller to a legitimate contender in the American League Central. So, are they a World Series contender? Hell no. Like, they're not a World Series contender.
No.
But they may be the most improved in baseball so far this offseason.
I could agree with
but
that.
I think the Yankees have gone from, kind of on the edge of the playoffs to not only a playoff team, but a legitimate threat to make some noise because they finally have guys in that lineup that make consistent contact, that will have good at bats and aren't just trying to hit home runs. Verdugo and Soto change that lineup with high contact, high average guys that have good at bats. They are not just swinging from their heels trying to go yard. They are making consistent contact and wearing pitchers out. The Yankees have been missing that since LeMahieu in 2020.
Right.
They just haven't had that person. They haven't had a guy like that in the lineup in 3 years.
No. And then you just throw Aaron Judge in the middle of that.
You got a guy who hit 60 bombs 2 years ago, would have hit 60 bombs this year if he played all season. He was on a rate to go hit 60 again. I mean, holy cow. Crazy. And then you've still got Rizzo and Torres and Volpe and LeMahieu. And, you should have Rodon for a whole season this season, which you didn't have last year. Like,
right.
this Yankees team, I thought they were going to be able to put it together last year and make a legitimate run. And then they just couldn't get healthy. But they've changed the dynamics of that team, and they're not relying on guys like Stanton anymore. If Stanton's hurt, who cares? He's a DH. Go find another one.
Yep, exactly. We can find somebody else that can strike out a bajillion times.
Right. And I look at, Stanton's the same kind of, I look at Stanton, Stanton was a trade that Cashman made because it was exciting and put butts in the seat. Just like signing Yamamoto. Are you going to get what you want out of that contract? Who knows? Right. Probably not. But it was exciting in the moment, and we'll put butts in the seats. But in a few years, are people going to look back like they do on Stanton and just wish he wasn't there? Who knows?
Yep, I'm with you. So we do have some breaking news. Martin Maldonado just signed with the Chicago White Sox.
Why?
1 year deal. 1 year.
Why?
Because it's the White Sox.
Like, why? Why do you go to that team? Is so irrelevant. It's not even funny.
Well, it's probably the only team that offered him a contract. So,
which is probably true. It's a shame because he might be defensively the best catcher in baseball.
Yeah, but he's 30? He's 38. He can't hit.
No, he could not hit water if he fell out of a boat.
No. So.
But defensively, there are very few better.
Yep, agree. So staying with the catchers here, Mitch Garver signed with the Mariners, 2 years, $24 million. I think this is kind of a bargain deal for the Mariners, honestly.
Well,
2 years for 24.
It is, but where's he going to play?
You'll just DH him.
I was going to say, you have two guys now at the catcher position that can both hit really well. Neither one of them's great defensively, but they're good enough.
No, but you can switch on and off, and you don't lose them out of the lineup either.
Who would you rather see behind the plate every night in Seattle?
Raleigh, probably.
That's what I viewed it as. I still think Raleigh's your everyday catcher. Garver will swap in and out, and you're probably right. Probably the two of them probably switch back and forth between catcher and DH because they can both hit.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
And I agree. That's a good deal. 2 years, $12 million a year for Garver. He can make some noise.
Yep. He'll fit perfectly in that lineup too. I mean, they lost some pop with Suarez. We don't know where Teoscar Hernandez is going. All indications right now is the Red Sox are the front runners for Teoscar Hernandez, which we'll get into the Red Sox in a little bit, but I don't know if I like that fit or not. I'm on the fence about that one.
Well, as of about, what is this, 4 hours ago, the Dodgers are also in on Teoscar Hernandez.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
So, I mean, why wouldn't they be? The Red Sox are just going to keep fighting the Dodgers for every free agent.
Whatever. Take him. You can have his 25 home runs and 256 strikeouts.
You already have Max Muncy who does exactly that. How many more guys do you need that do that in your lineup?
One more would be nice. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter when you're losing the first round how many home runs he hits in the regular season.
Nope. I do love this. Andrew McCutchen is going back to the Buccos for 1 year, $5 million deal.
This is absolutely the right decision.
Yep, absolutely. This is going to be, I would feel this is his last year. He wants to end his career in Pittsburgh. He loves the Pirates organization. He's been there forever. I mean, other than the little stint in the middle of his career where he kind of floated around a little bit. But I love this deal. And then this morning, Kevin Kiermaier re-signed with the Blue Jays. So not like a huge market for him, but I kind of figured he was just going to stay put there.
Yeah, I mean, again, another guy who's really, he's a really valuable guy, but not necessarily like on the stat sheet. He does so much for you, and he's such a good, all indication he's a great clubhouse guy, great, kind of great guy to have around, and he can play a bunch of positions. He plays them well.
He plays them very well.
Yeah, guy that does a lot for you and puts up decent numbers, but he doesn't get enough credit because his numbers don't jump off the stat sheet at you, but he does so much out there.
Yeah. So that was pretty much, I mean, kind of figured it was going to be a quiet week free agent wise. But I mean, we still got some big ones out there and we're still waiting to see where they go. And they've been really quiet. Like I haven't heard anything about Montgomery. Haven't really heard anything on Snell in a while. I have no clue. I would love for the Sox to get one of those two. I'll even be greedy and say both, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think those are the next two that everyone's going to be having their eyes on to see where they go. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as we talked about before we went on, the Red Sox continue to puzzle me. And we're not, I mean, we're in air quotes on everybody. Right. But we've not been even like the second or third choice for anybody yet. So what it makes me wonder is, what are we doing? We said the same thing off season. Like, just tell us what you guys are doing. Like, what is the plan? What are we trying to accomplish here? Because here we are, yet another season where we're doing nothing. We're going nowhere. We're signing nobody that makes any real difference. I mean, Tyler O'Neill, cool. We got rid of Verdugo, though, so that's kind of a trade.
Right.
It's a swap. But we're not making, we need pitching. Everybody in the world knows we need pitching. Are we going to sign some pitching? Like, we don't even know. So what it makes me think is either there's a lot of activity that's going to happen and we're all going to be like, oh, okay, good. That makes sense. Like, here we go. We're going to do something here. Or it isn't the GM and it wasn't Heim's fault. Maybe it just is this ownership group just doesn't care. Because as we talked about, this ownership group's got Liverpool and they've got their racing company and now John Henry and Tom Werner are part of this group that's made a $3 billion offer to buy the PGA Tour. Like, do these guys even care the Red Sox are still out there? Like, are they even paying attention to it? And Chaim Bloom, Craig Breslow, Nick Arno, does it matter who's in the front office? Like, are we just not going to do anything? I mean, the minor league system is loaded. And in 25 or 26, you're going to bear all the fruits of Chaim's effort here. But what the hell are we doing until then? And what are we doing to supplement that with legitimate talent, like ready MLB proven talent?
Right.
We continue to do nothing. And I don't think it's the GM's fault anymore. I'm starting to think that this ownership group just doesn't care.
And I'm with you. Like, if that's the route they want to take, if you're waiting till 25 or 26 to have all of these guys up here major league ready, then just come and tell us that.
Exactly.
You have Players Weekend where you sit down with the fans and you have the back and forth, and they ask, like, fans, to their credit, ask really good questions usually during that sit down with the front office when they're on stage and the fans are in the audience. Like, there's some good questions asked. Just come out and tell us what you're doing.
Right.
And Red Sox Nation will always be behind you. Like, we know what's in the farm. We know that it's a couple of years out, but we also know we have Devers, we have Story, we have Bayo, we have a major league ready team that could make some noise. That's just one or two pieces away that we could actually compete and not just be in the basement year after year after year.
Right.
Like, just show that you care just a little bit, or just tell us what the plan is. I guess is the bigger point of it. We're just kind of left in the dark to try to figure it out for ourselves, and it seems like they don't care. So, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, like, they don't care what we think because we are just peons. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, you're right. It wasn't the GM's fault. It wasn't Bloom's fault. He was only doing what his bosses were telling him to do, and then he got canned for it. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, it makes me think that it wasn't the GM's fault. Like, this is what we're working with. And as we said last off season and again going into this one, if that's the plan, just tell us what's going on. Like, as fans, we can handle it. If it's like, hey guys, we need a couple of years to fix this and rebuild it, we'd be like, okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
But to get us excited, like we're going to do something in the offseason, then not do something again, it's, don't pretend like you're going to make moves you're not going to make, or just say, look, we're limited to X. Like, we can only do so much this offseason. We're going to try to do the best we can with what we got.
Yeah.
But we don't know what that looks like, but we know we can only be so aggressive.
I'm wondering if there was something else to do with the Alex Verdugo and Bloom. I'm wondering if it went further up the ladder than just Alex Cora. Because you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's why it was mid-September. They were like, okay, we're done. Like, this is just me speculating. I have no idea. But maybe there was more to it. And that's why they're like, hey, we're just going to move on from you as well. We're going to, deal Verdugo in the Bloom's first move. I mean, not Bloom. Breslow's first move was Verdugo to the Yankees.
Yeah, finish off the Mookie Betts trade by trading away the one big piece.
But yeah, I don't know.
Did you see Jonathan Papelbon kind of clap back at Verdugo's comments?
Yeah.
Papelbon basically saying there's nobody on the earth that's got your back more than Alex Cora from my experience with him.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's right, Papelbon. But first of all, you are absolutely like certifiably insane. So your feedback only means so much. But secondly, like there's clearly issues here. Like there's not just one player who's had problems with Cora. Bloom and Cora did not get along. They did not get along for a while. No. Like this is not just like not having your back. Like there is something else going on here. It doesn't seem right. It seems broken. I don't think it's Chaim Bloom's fault. I thought firing Chaim Bloom was the wrong decision. But at the same time, we don't know how much that was Chaim Bloom just like, guys, I don't want to do this. Like if we're just going to like pretend that we care, I'm out.
Yeah. Doug makes a great point too. Like, are you going to get us some starting pitcher? We're just going to go with 3 out of 5 starters in the rotation again. Yeah. Right, just let us know. That's all we want to know.
So right now, who do the Red Sox have as starters you can pencil in?
Bayo and Sale.
Apparently Sale's healthy, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say Sale's ready.
Do you put Houck in the starting rotation?
But like literally that's where we're at. Like, is he a bullpen guy? Is he a rotation guy? Like we don't have any more legitimate starters than Bayo and Sale.
Right.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
This is a team that used to be, top of the league in payroll, and they won a bunch of World Series, and now we're just like, we can't even fill out a freaking lineup card.
See, I think that's where I'm at right now with the ownership group, right? Listen, we've won 4 World Series since the Yankees won their last. They don't care about the rest of the league winning. No. As long as the Yankees don't win, like we have 4, right. They have 0.
Yep.
So we're not pressured to win a World Series like we were in 04. All the way back to 03, really. 03, 04, 07, right. They don't have the pressure to win because is that rivalry still there? Yes, but it is nowhere near what it was at one point.
We talked about that a bunch this past season. Like, Is it still a rivalry? Yeah, it is. But is it what it used to be? No, it's not, because neither team has been all that worthwhile to watch.
Right. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Doug's with us. Just let us know what's going on. Like I'm on board either way. I hate being stuck in purgatory and just trying to figure it out myself. And then you make like a silly move and you're just like, wait, why? What was that for? Like, what does that do? Does that help us? No. But
right. Yeah. What are we getting for it? But
yeah, it's silly. All right. We'll move on to 5th inning here. We're just real quickly wrapping up our current manager results, our final. It was Bruce Bochy against Torey Lovullo, and this was a very, very close vote, and Bochy pulled it out by 1 vote. So Bruce Bochy is your current manager champion, voted on by you, the viewers. So that was fun to do and kind of go through all the managers throughout this offseason here. But I mean, World Series champion and Bruce Bochy is the hell of a manager. So kind of no shock there that he comes out on top.
So, I mean, the question in that becomes, did he win because of the recency bias where he just won the World Series and we all love him right now? Or do we really think he's the best manager in baseball? Like, would he make the Red Sox better? Would he make the Kansas City Royals better? Like, is he that kind of manager? And I'm not saying he's not. It's funny that our final matchup was Bochy versus Lovullo because they were in the World Series against each other, and then Bochy won, which is like the whole thing played out like the World Series.
Right. Well, maybe we do it again next offseason and see what happens.
See what people think.
Yeah. All right. So we have some top 5 lists here. So some trivia, and you can chime in with some of your answers too if you think you know some of them. Harrison has a couple. I have a few. I based mine off like Christmas gifts, sort of. So things that you would get for Christmas that are baseball related. Okay. So this was, I want the top 5 jersey sales of 2023.
Oh boy. Top jersey sales of 23. So it's got to be Ohtani.
Ohtani's number 1.
Let's see. Judge.
Judge is number 3. Yep.
So Tawny, Judge, Trout can't be in there anymore, can he?
Nope.
Okay. Mookie?
Mookie's number 5. Yep.
Oh, Freeman?
Nope. You have a Braves and a Padres.
Oh, so Strider?
Nope.
Acuna, duh.
Acuna. Yep. Acuna.
Yep. As I'm saying, I'm like, nope, Acuna.
Yeah.
And Padres, Soto?
No.
Tatis?
Tatis, number 4.
People still love Tatis.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. This one is a little bit tougher. I'll help you out through this one. But these are the top 5 most valuable baseball cards to date. So right now, the top 5 most valuable baseball cards.
Top 5. So wait, like of all time?
Yes, of all time.
Oh goodness. So Honus Wagner.
He's number 2. His last card was sold for $6,974,800.
That's insanity. For a baseball card. All right, Honus Wagner, Babe Ruth.
No, it's not on the top 5 anymore.
Oh, he's not. Wow, he got bumped out. Okay. All right, top 5. So Honus Wagner. There was a Cy Young card that went for a crazy amount not that long ago.
Yeah, but not in the top 5.
Oh man. Anybody modern era?
Yeah, 1. And
Bonds?
he's got 2 spots. No, he's still currently playing.
Still playing.
Still playing.
Trout? Ohtani?
Trout. Trout has a 2009 Bowman Chrome draft autograph card that went for $4.4 million.
Holy cow.
That was number 3. And then number 5, he's got a 2011 Topps Update Platinum. It's 1 of 1. So there's only 1 card in existence.
Oh, man.
And
okay,
it's sold for $1 million. Your top guy is a Yankee, and your number 4 is a Pirate.
So Pirate, is it Stargell?
No.
Mazeroski?
No. The other guy. Right fielder.
A Clemente, duh.
Clemente.
I did this last time too.
Yep.
Just the whole outfield but him.
Yeah. 1955, his rookie card, $1.1 million.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And this one's crazy because I think it just happened. It was either this year or last year, if I remember. It went for auction. But it was Mickey Mantle, number 1.
I was gonna say it had to be Mantle.
$12.6 million it went for.
Holy cow, for a card.
A 1952 Topps.
That's bananas.
$12.6 million it sold at auction. So those are
bananas.
Those are all cards that were sold at auction. There might be some that are worth more, but those are what the highest that were paid for a card. So
wow,
pretty insane. Yeah. All right. So I have top 5 selling hats of 2022 because 2023 hasn't come out yet. The stats.
Yeah, so that won't come out until early next year. All right.
Yeah. So the top 5 selling team hats, new era team hats from 2022.
So Yankees.
Yankees number 1.
Dodgers.
Dodgers number 2.
Red Sox.
Red Sox not in the top 5.
Oh, that's the first time in a long time. Okay.
They were 6.
Oh, just fell out. Mets.
Nope.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Padres.
Nope. One of them is the other pair of socks.
Oh, White Sox?
White Sox is number 3.
Who's buying White Sox hats? I mean, hell, the players don't even want to wear them.
Facts.
Jeez. All right, so I got 3 of them.
Yep.
Wouldn't be is it the Angels?
Nope.
I wasn't sure if the Ohtani effect had landed there or not.
No.
Rangers?
Nope.
They're resurgent?
Down around me. Like they're always in the playoffs.
Oh, the Braves.
Braves are number 4. And this 5th one really shocked me here.
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
Say that fan base has gone crazy lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue Jays number 5. So your top 5 selling new era hats last year: Yankees, Dodgers, White Sox, Braves, and Blue Jays.
Wow.
So yeah. So the last one I have was the top 5 jersey sales of retired players from 2022. So the crazy thing about this is these 5 were also in the top 10 of most jerseys sold this year.
Wow. Okay. Retired players. We talking like recently retired or like from a bazillion years ago?
A couple recent, a couple from a bazillion.
Okay, so let's go with Babe Ruth.
Nope.
Bonds.
No. You got Yankees, Mariners.
Jeter.
Jeter's number 1. He was number 2 on the all list.
Really? So he's still outselling current players.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yep.
All right, we got Jeter. Mantle.
Nope. There's no more Yankees. So
No more
Mariners,
Yankees.
Mariners, Dodgers, Pirates, and Astros, Mets, Rangers. Angels. Clemente is number 4.
I'm going to guess him first this time.
Yep. Clemente is number 4.
All right. You said Braves had somebody on there?
Nope. Mariners, Dodgers.
Dodgers. Okay. So Dodgers would be Koufax?
Nope.
Is this current or past?
Past.
Like way, way past?
Yeah. And I mean, everyone has his number retired.
Oh, Jackie Robinson.
Yep. Jackie Robinson. He was 5th of overall sales.
Pretty good. I mean, they sell a ton of those when they come up on his day.
Yeah. Mariners should be a no-brainer.
Griffey.
Yeah, Griffey. And he's number 3 on the all list.
That's impressive.
And then the last one is he played for 4 teams: the Angels, Rangers, Astros, and Mets.
Like way back when?
I mean, from 66 to 93.
Oh, Nolan Ryan?
Nolan Ryan, yeah.
Yep.
And he's 10th on the list. So that was crazy.
Wow, he's still that high on the list?
Yeah. Yeah, so Jeter's
I wonder if the facing Nolan thing coming out helped him.
Possibly, could have. But yeah, that was crazy. So Jeter is number 2 in 2022. Griffey was number 3. Robinson was number 5. Clemente was 8, and Ryan was 10.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So, all right.
Huh.
What do you got?
All right, so I got a couple here for you.
All right.
Let's go to, since we've been talking so much about ownership group, what they're worth. I wanted to go through.
Oh God.
Who are the top 5 wealthiest owners? Just give me the team. I'm sure you don't know the names, but give me the teams.
So Mets.
Believe it or not, no. Cohen
Really?
is not in the top 5.
How? All right. Let's rethink here. So Dodgers.
Dodgers are 6th, but it's the primary owner, so it's Mark Walter.
Oh, so
the whole group is worth a whole bunch more, but he owns the majority of the team.
Goodness, wealthiest owners.
They're not the organizations you would expect.
All right. So Rockies, maybe, because himself is worth $700 million.
No, he's actually way down the list.
Goodness gracious.
Let me put it this way. So let me break it down for you. The wealthiest owner is worth over $6 billion.
Oh God.
Number 5 is worth over $3 billion, and Cohen's net worth is hard to pin down because it's not very liquid, but he's worth a boatload.
Yeah. All right. Rangers.
Rangers, no.
Goodness, I don't have a clue.
So in this, you have 2 playoff teams, 2 teams that missed it by a little, and 1 that wasn't even close.
Man. All right. Let's see. Marlins?
Nope.
Reds.
No, but that would have been funny as hell.
Dude,
you got a team in the Midwest that we love that had a terrible season.
The Cardinals. Number
3, Bill DeWitt Jr., where he's worth $4 billion.
Dang. Yeah, see, I don't know anything about owners.
One of these won't surprise you. We've been talking with them for a lot of the show.
The Yankees
5th, Hal Steinbrenner, $3.2 billion.
Yeah, I mean, kind of makes sense.
Another one not far from you in the playoffs a lot.
The Braves,
John Malone, worth $5.1 billion.
Are the Orioles in there?
They're not. Your other 2 teams are in the north, kind of central of the country, and one's on the west coast.
So I'll go Brewers.
Nope, not far from there though.
Minnesota
Twins, Jim Pohlad, worth $3.6 billion. And number one is out west.
Angels.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Artie Moreno's not that far, but no, this is the team that continues to miss out on free agents, although they throw money at them.
The Giants, yeah.
Giants. Charles Johnson worth $6.4 billion.
Dang.
Let me give you a walk through the top 10. So you got Charles Johnson, San Francisco Giants, $6.4 billion. John Malone, Braves, $5.1 billion. Bill DeWitt Jr., Cardinals, $4 billion. Jim Pohlad, Minnesota Twins, $3.6 billion. Hal Steinbrenner, Yankees, $3.2 billion. I'll finish off the top 10. Mark Walter, Dodgers, $2.9 billion. Keep in mind, Mark Walters is the primary owner. He has other guys with him that are worth as much as him, or if not more.
Right.
Number 7, Ray Davis, Texas Rangers, $2.7 billion. Number 8, Artie Moreno, Los Angeles Angels, $2.5 billion. Tied with him is John Henry of the Red Sox, $2.5 billion. Number 10, Chris Ilitch, Detroit Tigers, $2.4 billion.
God dang.
And then after that, you've got Peter Angelos and the Ricketts family and Jim Crane. Like, you got a lot of the big ones that come after that. But one thing I wanted to point out is tied at 13th, John Fisher, Oakland Athletics, $2 billion net worth.
Crazy.
They've got some money.
It is crazy, man. That is unfathomable amount of money.
So, with that being said, what are the top 5 most valuable franchises in baseball?
Okay.
And what I will say is, keep in mind, the value of those teams is 3 things. It's the team, the stadium, and the TV.
Yeah. So it's Yankees, it's Red Sox, it's Dodgers.
Yep.
It's Cardinals.
Nope, but close. Same division.
Yeah.
Bigger city.
The Cubs.
The Cubs, yep. And the last one. So you nailed 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one's out west.
I'm trying to think of like independent like TV markets too. Most valuable out there. It wouldn't Mariners?
No, the Mariners aren't far off, theirs is interesting the way they're set up, but
and I think they're Bally Sports too.
Yeah, they're outside of the top 10. We talked about the owner a minute ago.
The Angels.
Nope, sorry, other one. He was on the list of the top 5.
Holy cow!
North of LA.
Yeah, that doesn't help me. Oh, Giants. Sorry.
Giants, yeah.
I should have known that one. They're a historic franchise. They've been around forever.
Yeah. So number 1 is the Yankees. They're worth $7.1 billion. Dodgers are number 2, worth $4.8. Keep in mind that ownership group bought the Dodgers for $2 billion 10 years ago. Yeah. So they've got a nice return on the value of that. Crazy. Red Sox are $4.5 billion. They're 3rd. Cubs are $4.1 billion. They're 4th. And number 5 is the Giants, worth $3.7 billion.
Yeah, I should have gotten the Giants. I'm mad. Crazy.
So who, for the hell of it, let's we'll just throw one more in here. Can you give me the top 3 most profitable teams as of last year? Who makes the most money?
Who makes the most money?
Yeah, this will blow your mind.
Let's go Pirates, Reds, Rays.
Yeah. You're actually not that far off on your thinking. No.
Royals.
But you're close.
Royals.
Royals, nope.
White Sox.
Not far off.
White Sox.
The White Sox. No, the White Sox had a dreadful year. So
Tigers
had a brutal year. Tigers, no. The Tigers didn't have a good year, and I can't figure out why.
All right, let's see. Most profitable.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said the Pirates. The Pirates were 3rd. Yes, you were correct.
So Pirates, yeah. Twins.
Nope.
Brewers.
Nope.
Dang, I'm lost.
You love this team in the Pacific Northwest.
The Mariners.
Mariners were number 1.
Okay.
And number 2 was a super young team that went to the playoffs.
The Orioles.
Orioles were number 2.
That makes sense.
So the Seattle Mariners operating income, so this is what they make after they pay all the players and run operations, $85.8 million.
Dang.
You had the Orioles at 66.7 million and the Pirates at 54.5 million.
It's just crazy how much money is thrown around and then they can still make that much of a profit. Like, it's just got to have money to make money. It's
Well,
crazy.
what's interesting too is, and I brought that up because I thought what was fascinating is, so the New York Yankees profit last year, 16 million towards the bottom of the league. Dodgers, 14 million towards the bottom of the league. The Red Sox, 71.6 million towards the top of the league. Wonder why? Because they don't sign any players.
Right.
The Giants were just behind the top three. Red Sox were the Red Sox were actually in the top three. I skipped them. They were in the top. They were number 2. Giants not far behind them, just outside of the top 4. The New York Mets lost $138 million last year.
Oh my God.
They lost $138 million last year.
That's amazing. And he's got to pay the luxury tax. Is that the luxury tax fine?
It
why
it doesn't say if that was paid yet or not. But either way, they lost 138. If they paid that, that's even worse. If they didn't,
that was my question.
That's still bad.
Yeah, is it 200 and something now?
My understanding is that it's in there because they already had it calculated before he paid it.
That makes sense.
Angels made 35 million. The Braves made almost 50 million. Philadelphia Phillies lost $3 million.
I mean,
you had a bunch of teams that made kind of 40, 50 million-ish dollars. The Cardinals, the Astros, the Rangers. Blue Jays lost $33 million. The White Sox lost $53 million.
Dang.
The Padres lost $53 million. So we talked about the fact the Padres had to take out a loan for $50 million. Well, now we know why.
Right.
Because they lost that this year. They had to take out the loan just to cover the fact they ate it.
That's crazy.
You know, the Washington Nationals, who were teetering on bankruptcy a couple of years ago, made $45 million. So it's really interesting to see how this works across the league, and where these teams fall, because there are some teams. I mean, the Royals made $32 million. Not bad. The Oakland Athletics made $30 million. Now, is that enough to go field a legitimate team given the payroll they were at? Well, no. Which goes to show the Athletics had real problems in where they were.
It would be interesting to see too how much of that is revenue share.
Right, which I think for some of these smaller teams is probably all of it.
Right.
So they should release kind of the full financials of the league here in I think it happens in the spring. But the Mariners, the Mariners didn't not spend, and they made 80 something million bucks.
That's crazy.
Which that's pretty impressive. And the league, so across the league, where'd the article go?
Yeah, I call 85 million a slow Tuesday.
Oh, and I know it's a different world for you,
yeah.
Nicholas Arno, but
yeah.
So MLB set a record with let's see, 2022 they set a record with 10.8 billion, and they're going to break that in 2023. All indications are the final tallies are being done.
Thanks to Steve Cohen.
Yeah, right.
Or thanks to Steve Cohen, I should say.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. Like, does that count as league revenue when he's got to cut a check for it? Like, is that $100 million boost to league revenue?
That's true. I don't know. Well, no, it would just come out in the wash, right? Because
you would think, but
yeah.
But either way, I mean, it's kind of funny to think about that. But like baseball, as much as we laugh about like nobody watches anymore, like baseball has seen some crazy revenue increases, and this year they've seen massive increases in ticket sales. Last time I saw, there was like a 60% increase in ticket sales, luxury ticket sales. Like everything was up.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good indication that the game is healthy.
And we'll get into it because typical MLB fashion, they changed everything again, but we'll get to it at the end here.
They just love to do that.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into the rounding third question. We threw out who was on your team's Christmas list this year, which is a great question. So we had a viewer, Wesley. He chimed in and said both Snell and Yamamoto for the Cardinals. Well, Yamamoto's off the board, but Snell is still a possibility. Even though the Cardinals got Sonny Gray, Could they go in and get Blake Snell? Sure. Would that
Totally.
make them a contender and solidify that rotation? Absolutely. So, I mean, I don't hate that if that would happen, but that was interesting. Doug said Yamamoto for the Sox, so sorry about that, buddy. And then Jim Britt said Snell to the Sox, which still, hopefully, could be a possibility.
It could happen.
Yeah. So, who's on your Red Sox wish list? This
pitchers, any of them. I mean, the Red Sox proved last year they can hit. Like that lineup will hit. And although that lineup isn't like sexy on paper or exciting, they hit. They hit and they score runs.
Yeah.
So they don't have a run scoring issue. They got a run prevention issue. And that was because the starting pitching last year was atrocious. So my wish list is starting pitchers. I'd love to see any or all of Snell, Montgomery. I really wanted to see Seth Lugo here. That got taken away by the Royals. I'd love to see them, consider a guy like Giolito maybe on a shorter incentive-laden contract. Go make a trade for Dylan Cease. I don't care. Go find us some starting pitching. Like Craig Breslow, do what your predecessor couldn't do and get this ownership group to spend money on pitching, because we haven't paid for a pitcher since 2018, right? When we signed Chris Sale. Nope. We haven't signed a pitcher at any meaningful contract in a long freaking time.
Nope.
Go get us some pitching.
Yeah. I mean, send that prospect over to the White Sox like we did for Chris Sale. I know Chris Sale didn't pan out, but
send Chris Sale back. I don't care.
Yeah, right. I'll take Dylan Cease in a heartbeat.
The White Sox are a mess. Just take advantage of it, and go get a guy like Giolito. Short contract, lots of incentives. Like I don't care at this point. Do anything, even if it's wrong, but just go do something.
Yeah, agree. All right, we're going to head home and we're going to talk about the rule changes that they have made for 2024. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. I don't think they needed to change any of these rules. It clearly worked last year, what they did. We were a little skeptical at first of the rule changes, but you know what? It really improved the game this year, and we saw viewership, we saw attendance go up. It really worked out. So leave it. Let it breathe for a minute before we start changing everything again. I don't understand it. But here we go. Here are the rule changes. 18 seconds with runners on base. So it's down from 20. So now it's even like quicker with a runner on base, which, I mean, sure. I don't think it moves the needle a little bit. It might help with more stolen bases, maybe a little bit.
Well, and I feel what we saw last year is we did see pitchers getting gassed. Like we saw them, especially later in the season, they were tired.
Yeah.
Because there is no break, and those when somebody strings a long inning together, it's like a snowball effect. Just keeps compounding on a pitcher and blows up. I don't think that helps. And at some point, I feel like MLBPA is going to step in and be like, okay, like we now have a safety issue. Like we now have guys that are out there like huffing and puffing, trying to beat the clock. At what point are you now putting guys at risk? Because when you get tired, what happens? Your mechanics fall apart. Like you get sloppy. When you get sloppy, you tend to throw pitches over the plate or at guys' heads.
Yeah. I know we've dogged this guy all season, but we saw it with Alek Manoah.
That dude's career might be over.
Right. This guy was a Cy Young candidate that I didn't think he worked slow by any means.
No, but he wasn't the fastest guy out there.
No, but you put that pitch clock on and he just couldn't catch up with his cardio. Like he was just all over the place mechanically because he was tired. And
you had a guy like Max Scherzer even come out on multiple occasions just saying, I can't pitch like I used to. Like I'm rushing. Like, and I'm getting tired. I'm making bad pitches. Like my mechanics aren't holding up. Right. I'm not meant to work this fast.
No.
And a guy like, and look at the season Scherzer had. Look at the season he had last year with no pitch clock. Or sorry, 2 years ago. Look at the season he had last year with the pitch clock. Is there a correlation to the two? Maybe.
Well, and he's had a lot of 39.
Yeah, but you had a lot of pitchers. Verlander wasn't as good as he usually was. Pitch clock was introduced. His stuff hasn't changed.
No.
Like right. you had a lot of guys that I think felt the effects of the pitch clock. And do I like the fact the game moves around a little faster and guys don't just stand there all afternoon? Yeah, I like the fact that an at-bat doesn't take 20 minutes. But I also don't want to see a guy like Max Scherzer who's wheezing in the fourth inning trying to throw strikes and can't because he's tired or he's throwing balls at guys' heads because he can't hold his mechanics together. Like, that's not good either.
No.
Like, there's got to be a balancing act here of speed versus the quality of the game.
And you're right. I think at some point when a lot of these pitchers are going on the IL sooner and sooner and sooner, that they're going to have to step in and say it's a safety issue, that they're going to have to slow them down or give them a break at some point. But I don't know.
The MLBPA is not going to say anything right now because revenue is up, so contracts are up, everybody's getting paid.
Right.
So everybody's happy right now.
Yeah.
But when that plateaus and guys are getting hurt, now the MLBPA is going to be like, all right, guys, like we've gone too far.
Yeah.
But again, like it just proves that the MLBPA and MLB, this is money. Money is number one priority for both sides.
Yep.
And then after that, it's player safety and quality of the game. But it's ultimately, we got to make more money. How do we make more money?
Yeah. The next rule is 4 mound visits down from 5. So, I mean, that doesn't really move the needle for me. It is what it is.
I also wonder, and I don't know, I'm not even asking, I'm just curious, like, how many times did teams get to that many mound visits? Like, did they even get to it? That's a lot of mound visits.
Yeah. I think maybe I saw a couple teams get within 1. Like, they never used the full 5. But this one's interesting to me. I don't quite get it, but if a pitcher starts to warm up before an inning, he must face one hitter. Now, does this mean like in the bullpen, or does this mean like on the field between innings?
The field?
Okay, that's what I thought, because that's the only thing that made sense. But
in my recollection, I can't think of the last time a guy went out to the mound and warmed up to get pulled before the first batter stepped into the box.
Yeah, like without an injury.
Like I cannot for the life of me remember when that's happened.
I mean, I've seen guys go out and warm up and like they injure their arm or twist an ankle. Like, so they still have to face a hitter?
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, how often does a guy get out there, warm up on the mound, and then the first batter gets announced, like, oh, nope, call to the pen? Like, I can't remember ever seeing that happen. Yeah, I feel like that's a rule for something that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that was a weird one to me. But
yeah, that one made no sense to me. My understanding was that was like out on the mound, not in the bullpen, but like out on the mound.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because I was like, the bullpen doesn't make sense. That's stupid.
Yeah, so it's if you walk out to the mound, if you take the field and take your warm-up pitches, you now have to pitch to somebody, which I can't think of a time when that hasn't happened.
Yeah, without an injury.
Exactly, without an injury, and you're not going to make an injured guy pitch, so that takes.
I bet a pitcher goes out, throws his warm-up tosses, and then a pinch hitter comes in, and then the manager goes out and takes the ball.
But how often do you think that happens?
I bet late in games it probably happens more than we know, because we're probably at commercial.
Oh yeah, maybe we don't see it. That's a good point.
So,
because I'm like, I can't think of a time when a guy's gone out to the mound, thrown warm-up pitches, and then not pitched to somebody.
That's the only scenario I can think where that would even make sense. Is they announce the pinch hitter, they bring in Felix Bautista from the bullpen, and they bring in a pinch hitter. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go to our lefty.
Yeah.
That's got to be the only thing. But
whatever. Yeah, maybe. And maybe that does happen. We just don't see it. But
yeah,
I look at that one. I'm like, I feel like we're making a rule for a situation that really doesn't happen often, if at all.
Right. And then the last rule change here is the runner's lane. So you have the runner's box that's usually in foul territory. It has now been widened to the infield grass, which makes the most sense to me because the base is in fair territory. I have never ever in all my years watching baseball understood why the runner's box is in foul territory when the base is in fair territory. If you have like the softball run through bag on the backside, then it makes sense to put the runner's box there. But yeah, this rule makes sense to me. Yeah,
I was always taught that you run with 1 foot on the left side of the line, 1 foot on the right side of the line, because you want to take away a lane if you have something either back to the pitcher or in front of the plate.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, that the whole runner's lane thing gets called so infrequently, and when it does, half the time it's confusing as to what they're really calling. Yeah. But I always thought it was dumb that you don't at going to first. So any other base on the field, you have the whole base path. First base, you don't. You get this little sliver of the base path. That's all you're allowed.
Right.
Which to me was always dumb.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can run to second base and literally like get in almost into the outfield grass to come around and cut the bag, and I'm fine. But
Right.
first base, I've got like this little 18-inch box I've got to run in, which is dumb.
I mean, we had seen it a couple times. Like, was it the World Series that Trey Turner got hit in the shoulder? That was back in 19.
Well, when the Red Sox beat the Cardinals in the World Series in 04, we had that weird call, that weird out of the baseline call the Red Sox had against them that almost cost them a game that made no sense at the time either. It's the base paths are very anywhere but first. The base paths are a little bit kind of fluid. What exactly is a base path? We don't have any markings. We kind of base it on can you reach the bag and all that stuff. So it's really a judgment call.
Right.
First base, you've got this little lane you got to stay in. Even when guys run out of it, half the time it doesn't get called. Nobody really acknowledges it. It only matters if like the throw comes from the catcher and hits a guy. Then all of a sudden everybody's up in arms and hasn't been called. But nobody calls it otherwise.
Right.
It's the dumbest thing. And you're right. That lane is making you run in foul territory. You've then got to kind of reach your foot back to reach the base because you can't get to the base from that box. Because keep in mind, that foul line runs the back end of the base.
Right.
If you stay in that runner's lane the whole way, you're going to run past the base. You can't touch the base. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's either keep the runner's box where it is and put a safety base, or make the base path all the way to the grass, which makes sense.
Make it the actual base path, which makes sense.
Yeah. If you step on the grass and you get hit, you're out.
Yeah,
like
it's easy.
I agree with that. Easy.
And the grass is a really easy defining line as to where the base path is.
1,000%.
But yeah, the runner's lane thing to me was always dumb. I was always wondering, like, are they ever going to change that, leave it in because like it's like nostalgic? But I'm glad to see them change it because that's a dumb rule.
Yep, I agree. So those are your rule changes for 2024. Again, like my thought on it was this year worked so well. Like, let your players adapt to what you've made before making more. Like, just let them adapt, let it breathe. And if viewership goes down, then go ahead and make another change. But we had such an increase across the board. I say I mean, Major League Baseball had such an increase across the board that why are we changing all of this stuff again? It doesn't make any sense to me. But here we go. Typical MLB fashion. We're switching the rules. We'll probably get a new playoff scenario, next week that we can talk about because they change that every 2 years. So I don't know, but it is what it is. On to 2024 we go.
Yep. Before we go, Nick, I came across an article from The Athletic today that I thought is interesting, and I want to just talk about one in particular section of it. So they did an article that was the 20 most mind-blowing hitting and pitching feats of 23. And the first one, they get into Kyle Schwarber. So I want to share some of the things about Kyle Schwarber because he's one guy, we make a lot of jokes about him. We kind of rail on Kyle Schwarber. We realize he hits a bunch of home runs, takes a bunch of walks, does all these things, but he hits under 200 and he's done that many times. But I want to share some of the interesting kind of mind-blowing stats here. So Kyle Schwarber in 2023 hit 197 with 215 strikeouts. So out of the gate, that sounds like a terrible season. Keep in mind, he did this from the leadoff spot for the Phillies. So Schwarber, he became the first player in the modern era with at least 500 leadoff plate appearances in a season which his average never made it to 200. He didn't hit 200 for a single at bat this year.
Dang.
So think about that.
That means he started his season 1 for 10 or worse.
Yep. He never hit 200. He never broke 200 this year at any point in the season.
That's crazy.
So crazy, right? He got a hit 21 times to lead off games, but only 6 of those were singles.
Yeah, right.
So think about that for a second. 21 leadoff hits in games, only 6 were singles. So they drew a comparison, which I found interesting. He was as productive as a guy who hit 306, which seems weird, but let's follow this one. So they used Bo Bichette as the comparison. So Bo Bichette in 23 hit 306 with a 123 OPS plus. Schwarber hit 197 with a 122 OPS plus. Strange.
Crazy.
He hit so Schwarber hit 197. He led his team in runs scored. He had more strikeouts than hits, 215 strikeouts to 115 hits, but still led the team in runs scored. He had a higher on-base percentage than Bo Bichette at 306. He was at 343 versus 339 because he drew 99 more walks than Bo Bichette.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Bo Bichette hit 109 points higher than him, had a lower OBP by 4 points because of the walks. And then lastly, Schwarber, because his defense is so bad, with all those offensive stats, had a 0.6 WAR.
Yep.
So 47 home runs and 100 RBIs, 100 runs scored, and he was less than 1 win above replacement.
That's crazy.
So to recap, he was just as good as a guy hitting 306. He led his team in runs scored. He hit 40 something home runs. He drove in over 100 runs, scored 100 runs, and was so bad defensively that he was a 0.6 WAR. So this is literally what they said in The Athletic was basically like, we're trying to write an article to show how good a season Kyle Schwarber had because the stats don't play it out. But when you break it down, what he does, it's just so different.
It's weird. Yeah.
Like he is super as a hitter. He has valuable aspects of what he does, but he's also a huge liability at the same time. But he actually outweighs all that, and he makes a very good leadoff hitter, not because he's an average guy, but because he'll surprise you with a home run and he'll take a boatload of walks.
Yeah.
But he walks almost as often as he gets a hit.
Yeah. That's what makes baseball amazing, right? I mean, like, he is not as productive as these other guys out of the leadoff spot, but yet he is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have a basketball player go and he shoots 2 for 35, like, he's costing his team the game. Like, if Schwarber,
exactly.
if Schwarber goes 2 for 35, like, yeah, he has 25 walks in there.
Right.
You know, like that's crazy.
So he had 720 plate appearances, only 585 at bats because of all the walks. He scored 108 runs. He had 115 hits. 47 of those were home runs. 19 were doubles. Yeah. He walked 126 times and struck out 215 times, giving him a batting average of 197 and an OBP of 343. I mean, like, an elite leadoff hitter is like 360 to 400 OBP. Like, that's elite. And he's right on the edge of it with 215 Ks and only 115 hits.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. Like, you almost, like, your brain almost can't comprehend what this guy does because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wild.
Absolutely.
It's wild.
Dang.
Baseball's crazy, man.
I love it. I mean, yeah, I saw one of those comparisons last week. It was insane. It was crazy.
But. Yeah. I mean, literally, they're just trying to find a way to show the fact, like, this was a good season. It just doesn't look like most good seasons.
Yeah, right. All right. Do you have anything else for this week?
No, it was I'm hoping that after the new year things pick back up, but it was a quiet week around the league.
Yeah. So, all right, we will be on our regular time next Monday at 8 p.m. But before you go, please make sure you follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also share our podcast, share our reels, comment, like our reels, like our show, share our show, all of the stuff. And we really appreciate the support. And you can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m.